Hi, today I'm going to talk about my latest trail camera. Now, somewhere at home I have a plastic shopping bag with half a dozen different trail cameras in there, different brands and certainly different price brackets, some of them very cheap, £25 each, some of them best part of £200 each. And unfortunately at the moment I can't locate that shopping bag. It's definitely at home, it's safe, I just can't put my hand on it at the moment. But recently I bought a new one, and that's what I'm going to talk about. And here it is. It's an OS Wild trail camera, which apparently is a British company, and they have done something that I've been thinking other manufacturers of trail cameras should have done a long time ago. Instead of just copying each other, why hasn't one of them produced a camera that has high quality output? Just because they advertise as 4K doesn't mean they are 4K. I've tried several of them that are 4K and the quality is very poor. They're clearly just interpolated up to 4K, but it's a lower quality sensor to start with. And I thought, if one of these manufacturers does this and produces a camera that takes nice footage, they will dominate the market, or they get a head start on the market anyway. I've also wondered why cameras like a GoPro, the tiny little action cameras, or a DJI Action camera, doesn't do the same thing. They could have built-in software, so when something comes in front of the camera, they just start to take stills pictures or video, and they are high quality to start with. Now, I know GoPro, there is a bit of software for that. I installed it once, and it will start to take pictures or video as soon as something walks in front of the camera, but it was not a good bit of software. I struggled with it. It was very difficult to set up and I didn't find it reliable, so in the end I had to do a factory reset and take it off. I really want something off the shelf, doesn't require any external trigger or beam or mat or proximity sensor or anything extra. It's built in and produces high quality. Well, this is it. At last there is such a camera. Now, I'm not an expert on all the different trail cameras that are out there. I don't have opportunity to look at all of them, but if you start Googling it and you look at the shops that tend to specialise, online shops that specialise in selling trail cameras, they are starting to report that this camera is the next level up. And I've certainly been very impressed with it. The first time I used it, I thought, wow, at last I'm getting decent images of badgers both in the dark and in the daylight as well. It has two lenses on it. The left hand one here, that's a 13 megabyte sensor, and that's used in daylight, and it's colour. It automatically switches over to this lens of a night time, which is a much lower resolution, 2 megabyte, and that's only in black and white. But both of them, the quality looks much better than any other trail camera that I've ever used. Now, the idea of trail cameras is really just to tell you what's about. You put this outside of a hole, a badger's hole or a fox, and that's really what you use them for, to tell you what's there, what's coming and going. But I've always thought, I don't want to just know what's there, I actually want to film them while I'm doing it. Well, this does it. I'll show you some footage that I've taken with it. I haven't got a lot of footage yet, but I've got a little bit to show you. There's two versions of this. This one is with the solar panel, and that's about £50 extra for the solar panel, and I wasn't sure which one to buy. If you buy the one without the solar panel, you've got to use AA batteries, whereas with this, it's a built-in battery. And both have got pros and cons. Does the solar panel work? That was my first doubt. I couldn't believe it did. It's such a small panel. How could that possibly charge up batteries? I've had other experiences of small solar panels and they don't even trickle charge. Well, this does. It does work. I was able to test that because when the battery got down to, I think it was 65%, I put this up in the middle of my lawn in the sunshine, and it gets in the sunshine there for about 8 hours before it goes into shade again. And after 8 hours in the sun, the battery had gone from 65% to 95%. So it's not a fast charge, but it's trickle charging. And you can tell when it's charging as well, because when you open the door, there is a little light here. It's a red light. You might not be able to see that. Where my finger is, there's a red LED, and that's telling us that even in this lighting conditions, which is pretty dull, it's an overcast day and I'm in the woods, This is putting a charge into that battery at the moment, so that does work. But of course, although that's very convenient, you're not having to think about batteries all the time. Oh, and you can charge it. There's a USB charger as well off the mains. Although it's very convenient, you're not having to think about the battery. What happens in 2 years' time when that battery no longer holds its charge? Then I'll be wishing I'd got the one with AA batteries, because I can just swap the batteries. Maybe you can send it back to the manufacturer and get the battery changed. I don't know. So I'm in two minds as to which is the best to go, but so the one without the solar panel, £50 cheaper. This cost me £270. Typically they seem to be advertised around £290. Now, like most trail cameras, it comes with a strap which threads into the back of here, and then you put this around a tree or a branch and hold it into place. I always struggle with these quite a bit, and one of my trail cameras, which I haven't actually misplaced at the moment, I know where this one is, this is a Browning. This has a bracket on the back, so when you've strapped it to the tree, you can still change the angle and get it pointing at where you want the camera to point at. The trouble is it only swivels one way, so it depends on which way your tree is sloping. But if it's sloping the wrong way, you really want the bracket to swivel the other way. You can put it upside down. I have done that in the past, but really it'd be better if it was a two-way swinging bracket on. This one doesn't have a bracket at all, which is quite common for some reason, but I don't tend to use the strap all that often. I prefer to use these flash stands. It's just a very simple flash stand with a ball and socket head on the top of it, and then that ball and socket, I can maneuver that camera wherever I want it to be. The downside to using this is it makes it more easily seen. Somebody comes walking along here, they won't miss this, whereas if it's strapped to a tree, most people are not observant enough to notice it. So that's the downside, but where I'm going to put it up is usually pretty private. I think I'm the only person that's come in here for the last 3 months. It's not a frequent visited place. The other really good thing about this is it connects to your phone very, very quickly. It's much easier to go through the settings on your phone once you've done that, but also you can see on your phone where you've got it pointed, and that's a big advantage. And it connects very quickly, very easily. I'm not having problems with the connection. Some things, when you try to connect them, you really struggle. So far this has worked more or less, well, it's worked first time. Sometimes it takes a few seconds, but it's worked first time every time. It has all the normal controls that any trail camera has, so you've got your on-off switch and setup switch as well. So it's a 3-position switch. That's very normal. We're off at the moment. We put it onto setup, which is the middle position, and it powers up. The screen is bigger than any other trail camera that I've got, and it's in colour, and it's sharp. And when you're replaying your pictures, it's good enough to be able to really see what you've captured. You don't have to wait to get home. I find that with all my other trail cameras, although I can see the image on the screen, it's not good enough to see what's really happening. I have to get the SD card onto the computer and then view it. But this I can make out very clearly what I've caught on here. So we've got the setup position, and then if you want it on to run, you just turn it all the way, and then the camera is live. It does warn you in the manual that you should never go from on to setup. The camera locks up. No, it doesn't lock up. The camera may lock up. Now I find that a bit strange. You think if there's a known problem with it, they would have solved that problem by now. Can't see why that should be so difficult. But anyway, it warns you, and if it does lock up, there's a reset, which is a hole, and you have to poke a thin bit of wire into it. It's a bit like the same device that you use to open a mobile phone, a very sort of thin pin. And they supply that thin pin, and I lost it on the first day. But I have one of those for my mobile phone on my keyring, because it's just one of those things that suddenly you want it. So I've got one on my keyring anyway. I've had to put my glasses on to read the menus on the back, but they are actually larger fonts and clearer fonts than most trail cameras. I can read it quite clearly with my glasses on. Unusually, when you're replaying the pictures, not only is the image quality good, but you can actually zoom in on it too. So if there's something in the picture, like a small mouse or something, you can't quite make out what it is, you can zoom in when you're replaying. So I've just connected the mobile phone, so it's talking to the camera now. So I've got the image that I'm looking at on the mobile. If I put my hand in front of the camera, yeah, we can see that. That's very handy for lining up, so you know where you're pointing the camera. But you've also got a cogwheel here, go into all of the settings, much easier to change them here than in the camera, although you can do both. So you can set up the interval time between, let's say it's taken one picture, you don't want it to take another picture for 10 seconds after that, even if the subject's in front of you. The one that is very important to me is I've changed the length of the video, because by default it's only 10 seconds, and since it's video that I'm primarily interested in, I've set it up for the maximum. So once it's been triggered, it will run for 3 minutes, which is long enough. Normally I'm using 20 to 30 second clips, and that's on the long side, so that's useful. Oh, you can set a timer period, so you might tell it to only work between 7 o'clock in the morning and 7 o'clock in the evening, for instance. But it's very easy to set up from the app. Now the main thing we want to know is what's the quality of the image. Now I'm not saying it's as good as using a proper camera or using the DJI Pocket 3, which is what I'm filming myself with at the moment. I'm just saying it's way better than any other trail camera that I've ever used, and I can see me buying some more of these. Also, I'm optimistic that this will start to dominate the market, and then other manufacturers are going to start to copy them, and then that will drive the price down as well. I only have a little bit of footage of some badgers, so I'll just start off by filming myself with the trail camera. Didn't pick up the voice here, and I thought it would do. I have to check the settings on that. Now I've gone out into the open where it's a little bit brighter. And then some badgers, which I took recently with this camera. Say it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than any other trail camera I've ever used, and I can see me using this a lot. This is in the daylight, and now we'll look in the dark, and it's still good quality. Thanks for watching.